George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. State Senator John Mannion has defeated Rebecca Shuroff to help Democrats maintain a supermajority in the New York State Senate. He won by 10 votes, ladies and gentlemen, 10 votes. And so, State Senator Mannion, welcome to the program. How does it feel to have finally be able to be reelected? It was pretty, what do you call it? It was a nail biter for several weeks.
It was a nail biter, yes. Thank you, George, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And 10 votes. Oh, we had over 120,000 votes cast. So, people will say my vote doesn't count. And I think this is a testament to the fact that it actually does. I've been through close races. This is my third time through. They've always been close. So I got good people around me to make sure that, I stay grounded and they support me. And certainly that was the case through this process. I have a new district. Redistricting changed things quite a bit. I had 15 towns and parts of 2 cities. I lost both of those cities and only kept 5 of the towns with 13 new towns and 2 new cities. So, there was some getting to know me and me getting to know some people, but I'm happy to be back representing Central New York in the Senate.
And you really emphasized that the fact that every vote counts. So what does your new district consist of now?
Sure. So I have 7 towns in Onondaga County. The 5 towns I had before were Salina, Clay, DeWitt, Manlius, Gaddis. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Camillus. The Salina that I said there was a new town. So, and then the one other town is Cicero. Then we move up into Oswego County, where I have the cities of Fulton and Oswego, and then 11 new towns. I could list them. I hope I get them all right, but Schuylkill, Scriba, Hannibal, Hastings, West Monroe, Constantia, Volney, Granby, the town of Oswego, and I hope I didn't forget everybody. I think I got it right, and I wasn't counting on my fingers. I can only count to 10 anyway at this point.
Right. So you picked up a large swath of Oswego County.
Absolutely. So by geographic area, it's about half of the county. By population, it's about 3/4 of the county. And I was a SUNY Oswego grad, and I worked at, I lived on what I call the sub shop street, which was West 8th. I've been in there a few times recently and had the Roker, which is amazing. I recommend it to everybody if they get to Oswego. But I also, worked when I was there during my 2 years in Oswego. So anyway, I know the area well. I'm a native Central New Yorker, but it is, a new world in many ways, and I'm getting to know them and they're getting to know me. I was at the Fulton City Council meeting just last night and have a good relationship with everybody and looking forward to working with the elected leaders all around both counties.
And you continue to have a portion of the city of Syracuse and some of the eastern, right? Or no?
I actually don't know. So now Rachel May, I had part of the north side of the city, and with the maps there was and the changes that they went through, there's a lot of confusion that's out there. But Rachel May has the entire city of Syracuse. So I have some of the eastern, western, and northern suburbs. But I grew up in the city. My heart's in the city, and certainly a lot of things that influence my district are things that happen in the city of Syracuse. It's our core, and our strength is in that core. So I'm always going to be an advocate and wish I had it, but the fact that I don't, is just the way it is. And we move on, and I'm happy to represent the region, and there are certainly regional priorities.
Talking to State Senator John Mannion, you were able to secure some arts funding, a nice hall for the Auburn Public Theater.
Yeah, well, Auburn is no longer in the district, but I've been to the Public Theater, and I think we all agree that it's organizations like that make Central New York a great place for people that may come to the area just to visit or end up staying here. They find those gems like the Auburn Public Theater, and it's a fantastic organization. But, the pandemic was tough. They need the support, and happy to deliver on that and help them continue to do great things out there.
Right now, the country is, its heart is going out to Damar Hamlin, who suffered the cardiac arrest during the Cincinnati Bengals Buffalo Bills game Monday night of this past week. So, what are you thinking? What everyone's heart is thinking about the situation? And there's a follow-up question after you answer that.
Okay, yeah, I'll go backwards a little bit, which was starting with just a few hours ago. I was on the Senate floor, and my leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, referenced Damar Hamlin. The opposition leader referenced him, and I was watching the game. I was with my family, like a lot of how we conduct business now in the new era. We were all kind of on our phone. So I was watching it on my phone, even though there was a TV nearby. And there was a conversation happening, but I was watching the game. And my wife asked me a question. I didn't respond right away. And I watched a lot of football. I'm sure you have, George.
Sure.
And, you never hear the phrase aggressively working on somebody who's injured. That was not a good sign. To watch his teammates was so impactful on me. And I mean, at this point, I'm just thankful to hear that he's doing better than what we had expected. It reminds people of what's important. We do important work in the Senate, but we want to make sure that we have the perspective that people are people. He has a family. We look up to him as a football player, but to see the impact that his teammates, the impact it had on them, that somebody they love and work with every day may lose their life at that point, is just one of those reminders. And there's inspiring parts of it. Of course, the fact that he's still with us is amazing from where I was that night. And I think a lot of people felt like this is not in a good position here. But, people did what they could. And to see what happened to his charity and the donations that went to it is one of those things. Yeah.
And still counting.
Makes you feel good.
Still counting, right? $2,500 was his goal, and it's millions literally now and counting as we speak, right? Let's talk about some of the priorities for the Senate and the Assembly and for your district. Everyone's concerned about public safety, and there's been conversations about the impact of bail reform. Should there be some modification to bail reform to give judges back the discretion that some say we took away, that the legislature took away?
I feel like part of my job as a legislator is to inform people of what actually the law does. And when I'm at people's doors, I do that. And I do think that those initial reforms happened before I was in office. Some of them are referred to as scaled back, but those changes, I think, were necessary. They keep the intent of the law in place, that we have been through a time where, justice for all was not an equal justice for all. So we've made that adjustment. And now I do think that the changes that have been made address certain things. They did make more crimes bail eligible. They did address things like gun trafficking, and they're done with an intent to get it right. And my leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, who's fantastic, said, on the floor today that we can have both. We believe we can have justice and public safety, and I believe that. So there are probably still some things, like there always has been, where we swing one way and swing the other. There's one issue that's brought to me by individuals who are my constituents and law enforcement, was how if an order of protection is violated, that there may not be the teeth there to really hold someone accountable. And that's something that I think resonates with most of us. So I listen. I continue to listen. I continue to believe that I'm educating as well. And we are always working towards a more just society, but we want to make sure that people's safety is in place also. And we do important work. So we have to listen to everyone. if there are changes, I'm willing to listen to that, and but proud to serve in the conference that I do, because there's great diversity of thought, and we have those great conversations, and I have great respect, as I said, for my colleagues and my leadership.
I know you voted against the pay raise, but it's sitting on Governor Hochul's desk. Should she sign it?
So at this point, she has signed it, and
okay.
I do believe that part of the negotiation that had occurred prior was between leadership in the Assembly, the Senate, and the governor. So if they're going to call a special session, that means there's probably a good chance that the governor will sign it. And this is challenging work. We are highly scrutinized. The part of the legislation that I do like has to do with a ban on outside income. I've run on that every time. It's not a complete ban, but it does limit outside income. And I believe that if you're going to do that, you also should make sure that we're drawing good people with integrity into the profession. They're not corrupted by any outside income, but then they have to be paid a decent wage. And this is, for Central New York, when you throw that number or that percent increase, people open their eyes. It's a lot of money. It really is.
$32,000 increase.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that was a factor in me saying, what would my constituents want me to do? And I think most of them would have said that this is excessive. And I think there's a better way. It's small incremental increases that are embedded. And I expressed that. We didn't get there, but ultimately that's why I ended up on a no vote.
What is your plan for the district? What should we be asking you for? What do you want what are you being asked to do for your newly configured district, and what should we look forward for you to do for us?
Well, I think there's many things that Central New Yorkers over my entire life living here say the same kind of things. One has to do with good quality jobs. When we lost a lot of those jobs out of New Venture Gear or Carrier, it really hurt, and it didn't necessarily hurt all of us proportionally.
Mm-hmm.
But we are making a comeback. I was proud to be a part of the legislation that helped draw Micron here with the Green Chips bill in New York State. I can
Big
go
deal,
into that,
right?
But we're going to need some supporting legislation to help move, help with infrastructure projects or other projects, zoning issues. So I'm ready to do that, and it's in my district. But two things that I think are always present is we want quality health care for the people of Central New York. We have very robust systems. I think many of us know, and certainly those of us that have gone to try to seek care have seen that those appointments don't come as quickly. The wait times in the emergency rooms are much longer.
Right.
And it's very frustrating for us because we have not experienced that. So we got to rebuild the workforce, support our healthcare institutions. And I'm a former educator. We expanded universal pre-K in many districts in upstate New York, including in my district. And we want to support these kids, from pre-K through higher ed. And with our support of SUNY and CUNY programs and those universal pre-K programs, that's warms my heart, because we want to make sure that the opportunity's there. Education is a great equalizer, and I think it's a great time to live here locally. And I think we're on the upward swing. We want to make sure that those kids are trained and go into whatever profession they want to go into, and our schools can do that for them.
You mentioned Micron, such a big deal for the region, and Central New Yorkers looking forward to the tremendous opportunity that the potential $100 billion investment means for the area. But then there was the cutback of the workforce. So people like, oh no, what does that mean? They said that this would be subject to market conditions, but could you reassure our audience that Micron is here to stay, that this is a significant investment, and that, or how would you reassure the audience when they hear the cutback in the workforce?
I believe there is a full commitment from Micron. In my conversations, they were so excited to come to Central New York. They love the people. They love the environment. They love the transportation systems. They love the energy. They love the water. And I'll go back to the people. They really saw a work ethic and a kindness. So I know that's happening. It's happening in other semiconductor manufacturers in this country and around the world. But I believe them to be true to their word, and I trust the county and the governor and others to make sure that they follow through on that. There was a lot of excitement the night of the announcement.
Yes.
And I was there and got to speak with a lot of the executives from Micron, and they're in love with Central New York, honestly. And it's beyond that. They're getting incentives from the federal government and from the state if they meet their energy requirements and their job requirements. And they're invested. They're ready to come. And when I hear those concerns, I don't blame people, because we've been sold a bill of goods sometimes in the past. But I trust it, and I believe in them, and believe it's coming, and coming in a big way.
Last thing, Governor Hochul is nominating a Chief Justice. Senator May has said no. For Hector LaSalle, what do you say?
I have said we should go through the process. I think out of respect for the governor and out of respect for Judge LaSalle, I was a former labor leader, and as a result, I stood on the front lines. I had to represent my members, and the judge has, some decisions that certainly are concerning in that realm, but we want diversity in our courts, and the Chief Judge of New York being being Hispanic is certainly historic, but it's beyond historic. It's a commitment to the moving in the right direction. Many of my colleagues have chose to come out publicly. My statement publicly is really that, yes, I have the labor concerns, but we should go through the process. I will have a scheduled meeting with Judge LaSalle, and again, we have a process for a reason. We'll see where it goes. Certainly, the governor is sticking to with her nominee, as she has every right to do. But many of my colleagues have come out. I'm going to let it play out.
Hector LaSalle being nominated for Chief Justice of New York State. Okay. Well, listen. Thank you, State Senator John Mannion, with the newly configured 50th Senate District, and we wish you well. And your vote counts, because it's by 10 votes that he's sitting in his seat and being reelected. Anything else you want us to know before you go?
No, thank you, George. I appreciate you having me on. This is an important program, and I'm honored to be able to, say a few words, let people know where I'm coming from. I wish everybody a happy and healthy New Year. And thanks again, George.
I appreciate it. I didn't ask you about cannabis, but I guess how's that going?
I will say, I have visited a facility recently locally, and they're ready to go. I think that there's very good leadership in that area. Chris Alexander, many folks may know, if I have it correct, attended Syracuse University. I had multiple conversations with him before he was placed in the position that he is. This is a major undertaking. It's a big project, and there has been somewhat of a bumpy road, but if we're going to get it right, I think Chris Alexander is one of the people to make sure that happens, and I have great confidence in him. So, if people have questions, they can always contact our office on this issue, or otherwise with an email or a phone call, and we'll clarify as best we can.
State Senator John Mannion, take care of yourself, and work is beginning, and it's ongoing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, George. Appreciate you having me on.
Inspiration for the Nation.